Hello everybody and welcome back to this week's prediction show with our studio guest Matt Shaw, as each and every week, and Leeds Rhinos legend Danny Maguire. Before we get into it, do not forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything across the world of rugby league. Now, each and every week we pick a game of the week. We know the format by now. 1 point for, I think so. Let me go here. 1 point for the correct team, 3 points for the correct margin, and 5 points for the correct score. Last week's game was Wakefield v Hull KR, and our studio, they predicted, they got a couple of points, didn't they?
Well, they got one.
They got one.
No one got the margin right, did they?
Sweet.
No one tipped Wakey to win that easy.
But Matt, you're still running out with 13. I'm on 6, and our guests, Magsy, are on 5. So you've got a bit of a job to do. No pressure.
Do you know how they say the journalists know nothing? Journalists at the top.
Well, yeah, well done. Right, okay, let's dive straight into it. Hull FC v Catalan Dragons. Which way does this go, Matt Shaw?
Hull FC need to win. You know what? I've been really impressed with Catalans the last 3 or 4 weeks. The efforts there, and they were so brave against Leeds. They just threw themselves in front of everyone, and it was just spirited, which you compared to some of the other teams at the minute who've nothing to play for, and look where they're at. I think it's great. I think it's really good signs for Joel Tompkins, who I'm pleased for. Who told me he listens to the show every week as well. So there you go. We got
I don't know if you saw it, but there was a moment in that Leeds Catalans game where I think 10 of the Catalans players were all on the floor.
Yeah,
they'd just invested that much, and Leeds were on top. And I think there was the guy playing the ball, the dummy half, and one person ready to carry the ball. The rest of them were just on the floor, out on the feet. But I'm pleased for Joel. I'm really pleased for Joel. He probably me and him used to battle opposites, when for Leeds and Wigan, and we probably didn't have the greatest respect for each other, if I'm honest. And then we played together and we gelled, and I think that sometimes happens in rugby league. You get this idea that opposition, and you don't kind of like each other. They play together, and we got on great, and we had a great relationship, and I'm really pleased that he's doing a good job.
He's in the heat of battle, Mark.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So, right, where are we going then? Hull FC, Catalan.
I'm going to go Hull FC just because they need to win.
Yeah.
And I just think that need will get them over the line. They also played quite well, I thought, against Warrington, with quite a lot of players out. So
I'm gonna go Catalans again.
Catalans again. Finish with that'll be, what will that be then? 4 or 5 out the 4 wins out of the last 5. Would that be?
And their only defeat would be Wigan.
That's positive for Joel Tompkins moving forward, then, isn't it?
Sure.
So right. Well, I'm going to go. I think, unfortunately, I don't think Catalans do win. I think for the reasons you said, and the fact that you sit top of the table on all the predictions, I'm going to go with you. I'm just going to follow you. So Hull FC for me win that one. Hull KR Warrington. Hull KR. Wow, that result last week must have hurt them. Are they hitting a bit of a wobble at the wrong time?
Well, I've got a few thoughts on this. To a degree, yeah, because the 2 worst performances of the season in the last 4 weeks, that Leeds defeat and Wakefield. A lot of people keep saying that the players are tired, they've not been rested or rotated enough. I'm not sure I buy into that. I looked at the stats. And they have played more games because they got to the Challenge Cup final. So naturally there's been more games to play. But I think the most anyone had played was 28, I think. Maybe other than Peter Hick, who had played 30, I think. Which is a lot of games. There's no getting away from that. But players have been rotated quite a bit. Is it simply that it's a long season and in this physical game we play, that Challenge Cup run is just so hard to stay and peak at the end? I don't know. But they weren't good against Wakefield. That first half, they were awful. They looked like they're going through the motions, to be honest, which isn't good enough. So, but they could play like that and beat Warrington, because Warrington are rubbish. So, Hull KR win the league leaders.
Yeah, I feel like the Challenge Cup has a huge influence on. It catches up with you somewhere. It always does, and I think some people think it's the week after or a couple of weeks after, but I feel like you invest that much emotion and energy into it, it's just really hard to then maintain that level. And I think KR did a good job for about 6 weeks. And I think it's just probably, they've had a couple of performances over the last month that's not been quite KR-like. And I think it's probably a little bit of, I don't want to use tiredness because you're really lucky to play professional sports. Some people get up at 6 and go dig holes all day. So I can't have any rugby league player being tired or not not ready to play. But like, I do agree with you, 30 games is a lot. But I feel like they'll regroup. I really do. I feel like they'll regroup and they'll have a big say in the playoffs.
You mentioned tired though, Magsy. Look, I worked before in a factory job before I played rugby, so I feel like I'm qualified enough to say about tired. But I think mentally tired is what players get. I think Hull KR are crossing into that new territory now, Magsy, where they are no longer the hunters, rather than the hunted. And I think that level of expectation, you've got to remember the journey that KR have been on. They have the progression has been very linear, hasn't it? I just think maybe that going to Wakefield when you're 4 points clear and you're almost there to get hands on another trophy. I think from now on in they go back to where they're meant to be. Yeah. And we've said it a number of times. For me, it's going to be a Hull KR and Wigan grand final. But Hull KR, I think they get the job done and they lift the second trophy in this season. Really, so.
They get a week off as well, don't forget.
And they get a week
which
off.
I think will be massive for them.
Yeah, there's the carrot for them for sure. Yeah. And then we go on to Salford v Wakefield.
Well, Wakefield a funny team, aren't they? They've been very up and down recently. They were awful against Saints and Wigan, pretty good against Huddersfield, and then they produced that at the weekend. They were that first half for as poor as Hull KR were. Wakefield were class. Like the shape that they play with is beautiful. There is probably behind Leigh. I think they're the best shaped team in the comp. They're going to win the game. So they make the 6 now, don't they? They aren't going to lose to Salford, who have got better, spirited and all that, and they're having a crack, and they could have won at the weekend, fell away, but Wakefield will have too much for them.
Yeah, I'll go Wakefield again. Magsy, full house?
Yeah, full house on Wakefield.
Saints Cass.
Can I go to Danny first and ask what you think of the spine at Saints? It's the conversation of Super League, isn't it?
It'd be rude not to ask you.
Yeah, do you know what? I was talking, I can't remember, I was talking to somebody about it at the weekend, and they've got good players, haven't they? And I feel for Wello, I think he's done a great job, and a lot of pressure on a legend player to coach that team. Again, expectations are so high. Have they had a settled spine this year? It'd be interesting to look at the 6, 7, 1 and 9 throughout the year and see the different combinations.
They've had 10.
Yeah, I bet it's all over the place. I feel like they've got runners, but they probably haven't got that sort of player that plays on the ball a little bit. They had it in Lewis Dodd, who was quite, more old school sort of 7, who could kick the ball, who could sort of sit back and guide the team around the field. And I feel like they've missed that a little bit this year. I think Johnny Lomax has been an unbelievable player. I think, I always loved playing against him and competing against him. One of the best players that's pulled on a Saints jersey in Super League. But he's probably, coming to the back end now. And I think they probably need that type of player, somebody to control the game, somebody to, I like Whitby. I think he's a good young player, but I think the cohesion of the halves this year just hasn't worked no matter what combination they've put.
I think the worrying part for it really is that we're now round 27, and I think most people in the game wouldn't be able to name Saints starting 13 without an error or two in there, because the amount of tinkering and jiggery pokery they've had to do. Obviously, there's been some force change. Joe Batchelor playing at 13, Wellesby the week before, because of Morgan Knowles' absence. But that's probably the worrying part, isn't it? It's difficult to nail Saints' strongest team. It's very. Do you get where I'm coming from?
I think the other thing on that is we could all name our team and probably our spine, and we'd all come up with different solutions as well, because they just don't have all the ingredients in that spine. Like, the big thing for me is the kicking game. The last plays are rubbish. And you saw the way Moses Mbaye, and I don't even really blame Mbaye because he's not a natural kicker, but they've no kicking game if Whitby doesn't play. But you play Whitby and he's still a kid. Defensively, is he physically ready?
He's not quite there just yet.
What I mean? So whichever way you go, there's not that perfect solution. So I mean, if it were me right now, I'd be going Sailor at 1, Wellesby 6, and I think I would go Whitby at 7, because I just think the kicking game just needs rectifying. But it's not perfect.
I think when you've been blessed with somebody like Sean Long for so long, when he just somebody
Cunningham, James Roby at 9, you're right. I mean, Magsy, is there any hope for Castleford going there and winning?
I think you'd like to see a more spirited performance. I think obviously they had a really good win against Wakefield.
By Wigan.
Got themselves up for the derby, and I think, you know, obviously I was part of it early part of the year, but that inconsistency of performance, it was something we were trying to work on. You know, we'd get it for 1 week and we'd kind of fall off the next week, and you know, I feel it'll be tough to go to Saints the last game. You know, most of the lads will have the holidays booked and they'll be ready for Benidorm.
Yeah, Benidorm.
Don't talk to Carly about Benidorm.
No, don't talk to me about Benidorm. Leigh v Huddersfield. So are we going Saints all round there for that one?
Yeah.
Leigh v Huddersfield.
So to say Leigh are going to win, are they?
Yeah, I'd go with Leigh.
Huddersfield is so funny. I watch them sometimes and they're good, and then they're not. They're so up and down, but when they're good, I actually think they're a pretty decent team. I remember them playing you in an ugly game, but they had moments in that game where they looked great. It's just strange, but they've nothing to play for. Leigh, I think Pape's banned actually. He got a charge off that sin bin.
Right.
So he's got a 1-match ban, which probably does Leigh a favour because then he's not going to get banned in the playoffs. But they're still going to have too much.
I'll go Leigh as well. They're just one of the teams that needs to be in the groove. They're potentially chasing down. If all the results go their way, it's not going to really matter. They're still going to get the home semi, but they'll get even a higher place than what they already are.
Do they rest players? What would you do in this situation?
I was just gonna jump in then. I feel like it's rhythm. The back end of the year, I always want to play. I didn't enjoy the week off because I felt like you're in that groove. You battle hard, and the week off sometimes can sort of affect that a little bit. I never felt like I was on it after the week off.
It almost creates an anxiety, I think. You know, when you have a week off, because then your coaches are always looking around thinking, oh, are the lads having too much fun? Are they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it creates that
balance.
Yeah, I'm with Magsy. I think you just get into it. You've ground it out for so long. Just keep doing what you're doing, really. Magsy, we're saying Leigh.
Leigh win, yeah.
Leigh win. Right, finally, game of the week. Wigan Warriors host Leeds Rhinos. Each and every week, we want your guys' input in the comments below. Do let us know which team you think will win this, the score and the margin. Wigan v Leeds. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll start with Magsy. Magsy, Wigan v Leeds. Which way does this go and why?
Oh, I think this is the toughest one to call. I feel like Wigan have really sort of hit form now. I feel like they had a spell there where they had a few injuries and, you know, a couple of results that weren't quite Wigan-like. And when I spent some time there, actually, it was probably a month ago, and I could kind of sense it was coming back. You could get, you know, Matty was confident, Lockers and Tommy. Bevan French was on his way back. Luke Thompson was on his way back. They'd had a few other injuries, and you just got a sense they felt like they were going to peak at the right time. And I think the results over the last few weeks are showing that. Leeds, I feel like the result last week is the best thing that could have happened to Leeds. I really do. And it's never good to lose. Don't get me wrong, I hate losing, but I feel like sometimes a performance like that where you're not at your best can really like grab everyone together, grab the group, and like, you know, we're not where we need to be. We need to keep working. We need to keep focused. We need to keep getting the detail right. And I feel like Leeds will use that wisely, and I feel like they'll be in a better position moving forward for the playoffs. And it's really tough to call. I fancy a really narrow Wigan win. Just
here's the score.
I think there's 4 points in it. 20-18. Could go either way though.
20-18 to Wigan. Danny Maguire, Matt Shaw. Over to you.
Very hard because I don't know where the coach's minds are at in terms of team selection. Going back to you don't want the week off, here's the conundrum for Matt Pete. So they've already got second. They could win the league leaders, but they've already got second. There's a few players that are close to bans. So do you play them, go full strength? They potentially get charged, get a ban, miss the semi? Or do you play that risk? Or do you not risk it, not play them, but then they have 2 weeks off before playing in the semis? It's a very difficult... People talk about the week off being great, and I think for Hull KR it probably is. I don't always know if the week off is great when you finish top two because of what you spoke about a little bit. So I think Matt Pete's got some difficult calls there. I think Cade Ellis is one who's pretty close. There's a couple of others.
Yeah, but then if he plays in the semi...
Yeah, but you think
if he gets a...
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think that... I get your point, but No, I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be having 2 weeks off just in case I might get banned. In fact, I'd rather get banned for a semi.
Yeah, I get that.
And get back in for the grand final if that was the case. So right, go on then. Give us your prediction, your score.
Well, I can't see Jake Connor playing because of the rib, and they've got the home semi, so I don't think he'll be risked. And given how poor they were without him, I don't think Leeds can improve enough without Jake Connor to beat Wigan, whatever they do. So I've got a relatively comfortable Wigan win. I'm going to go 20 points to 6.
20 points to 6, 14-point gap. Right, I'm going to go a Wigan win. And I think the score will be 18-10. 18-10. And again, to jump on the expert, if you want to call yourself that.
You can call it.
No Connor. I think, he's been brilliant. I think Leeds start physically well. I think no doubt Brad Arthur will be into them about that. I think physically they'll start really well, but I just think that Wigan, said it before, they go into a different mode now, don't they? They get like almost beast mode, I've called it, where they just seem to...
You can just see it, can't
you? You can see what's coming here. So, I think an 18-10 win.
Can I ask you two guys, as former players, just before we wrap up? When you see Wigan, like a team like Wigan do what they're doing, and you just see them coming, from the outside, if you're not in that team, do you get worried, or do you not focus on it? Like, because I'm just looking at it going... I would be worried if I was everyone else with the way Wigan are coming up.
I don't think you do, because you've got that much trust and you've got that much muscle memory and experience of what's in and around you to get you to where you are. And big games, they can go either way. It's not big players that win big games, is it? It's little moments that are lots of little moments. So no, I think it would be weird if you didn't have the scenario of you could get beat in a final in your head. Like it's normal to experience that, but I think you've got to go into it, ready that what's around you is good enough to get the job done. I think
most teams talk about their own bubble and not really worrying about too much outside noise. And Brian Mack was the best I've ever seen at that. He sheltered the players the best I've ever seen, and kept everything in house the best I've ever seen. And but I feel like you're still aware of what's going on, even though you'd probably been told not to worry about the other results, and you still know what's going on. You still know when a team's playing well. You're still worried that Bevan French is playing out of his skin now. If you're playing Wigan in a semi-final, they've got players that can win them moments, haven't they? Wigan have probably got more players that can win them moments than anybody else, but it's about limiting them moments. And when you get your opportunities, taking them. And OKR have got Mikey Lewis, Leeds have got Jake Connor, Leigh have got Lachlan Lamb, Wakey have got, lots of players, Lino and Truman that that can create things. So I don't think it's nailed on, but for me, there's, a couple of teams there that are probably just stronger in them and probably a bit more experience in them big games as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll see how round 27 all unfolds, and we'll be back next week for another prediction show. But my thanks to Danny Maguire, Matt Shaw, and to all you guys at home who are letting us know in the comments which way you think our game of the week's going to go. Don't forget, as always, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you keep up to date with everything from the world of rugby league here at All Out Rugby League. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.